Hello, everybody. Bananarama to you all. And I was wondering if you guys are still following Stranger Things. I love that TV show, and I am so excited that we're finally going to get to see the last season in a couple of weeks. But you know what? I didn't know one of the main actors in the show was such a sleazeball. You see, David Harbour, the guy that plays Hopper, the hero in the TV show, was accused by Millie Bobby Brown of harassment, bullying, and intimidating her. And you know what? It's crazy because this guy was like 40 while filming this TV show, and Millie Bobby Brown was like 10. Okay. So I can just imagine this guy intimidating and bullying a little girl. But apparently, that's what's being claimed by the Daily Mail. So I decided to look up his name and see what came out. And oh boy, what I found. You know, I don't normally talk about famous people and gossip, but when something this juicy lands on your lap, you just have to talk about it. So anyway, so this guy, the amount of stories, the nature of the stories, very crazy. This is so good that I need to share it because it has stories of betrayal, of revenge, which I love. Children against adults, men against women. There's even a story that happened about 10 years ago where a literal 29-year-old woman jumped out of David Harbour's window to her death. Okay? How is nobody talking about this? We gotta talk about this. So let's do it. The thing with David Harbour is he's a walking iceberg meme. You know that iceberg that's like 10% that you see is above the surface, and then underneath the surface, there's like this dark mountain of insanity that you had no idea was going on. That's this guy. What you see, the 10% above the surface, is the person that he portrays when he goes out on interviews or the roles that he chooses to play. And at least for Stranger Things, he chose the role of a leading man who was warm and sensitive and protective of the people around him. We kind of loved him for that. And on interviews, he also portrays a caring man, but in reality, that's far, far, far from what he truly is. Because if you believe the allegations, at least superficially, he's a sleazeball at a minimum and a crazy narcissist, a pathological sociopath at the worst. So let's go over these allegations so you understand why I'm saying this. So there's Millie Bobby Brown accusing him of bullying her when she was a child and he was like 40 years old. Then there's his messy divorce to singer-songwriter Lily Allen that has been on the tabloids all week. And we're going to get into that because that's a whole other level. And then there's the allegations of all these girls who accuse him of taking advantage of them, girls who were way younger than he was, coming from underprivileged situations. Like, I don't know, like they say he went to pick up girls at shelters, just to give you an example. And then, of course, there's the piece of news from like 10 years ago when a girl jumped out of his apartment window. Yeah, she jumped to her death through his apartment window. And he wasn't there, so they ruled this a suicide. He was in Canada. But on the light of all of this, one has to wonder, like, what was going on in that apartment, right? So let's go one by one, unraveling the mess that David Harbour's life is for our communal... No, really, it's not just for amusement. I think there's valuable lessons to learn here. First, Millie Bobby Brown's allegations. So this story was broken yesterday by the Daily Mail. Millie Bobby Brown, before filming this last season, had to file a claim to Netflix against David Harbour for intimidation, harassment, and bullying. And she had to request to have a representative with her at all times on set. Now, the Daily Mail doesn't go into detail on what the accusations were exactly. All they say is that it was pages upon pages of accusations and that they were not of sexual misconduct. So if it's not sexual misconduct, then it must have been that this guy was mistreating her. And I think it's like even more concerning that there's no sexual misconduct allegations, because this is not just a case of the Me Too movement type of thing. It's something else. What I think happened is, these two were filming very closely together because he played her father in the TV show, right? Her adoptive father. And there's a whole season where they spend most of the time hiding in a cabin in the woods. But what I think may have happened is perhaps he was very hard on her. Maybe they didn't get along. Maybe she wasn't being as attentive or as cooperative with the scenes as he wanted, and he was being mean to her, which is quite concerning because she was a girl and he was a whole grown ass man. Like, he was 40 or 50 when they filmed this, and she was, I don't know, 12, 14. So that doesn't really paint him in a very good light. But then when you start looking up his name on Google, what comes out is all of the controversies that he has been involved in for the past week and for the past year, really, because he's the protagonist of one of the messiest Hollywood breakups that I remember. Now, David Harbour's divorce is one of the craziest betrayal and revenge arcs I have ever heard happen in real life. And I loved reading about this because I love a good revenge story, and I want to share it with you. So how did this all started? Well, Tony Award-winning actor / womanizer David Harbour met his wife, Lily Allen, singer-songwriter from the UK, through a dating app called Raya. You see, the rich and famous, they have their own dating app. They're not going to mingle with us down here with Tinder and Hinge. No, they have their own thing going for them. And this is an app that you have to be vouched for in order to get in. You can't just make a profile in there. So anyway, they met one another in Raya, and then shortly after, they decided it would be a great idea to tie the knot. So they eloped. Oh yeah, they went over to Las Vegas and they got married by a dude in an Elvis Presley costume. And then Lily Allen flew all of her things and her 2 daughters all the way from London to New York City to a brownstone that they bought together. But the blissful family life would not last long because David Harbour could not keep it in his pants, you see? He seemed to be happy while Lily Allen was out of a job, While she was a struggling singer-songwriter without a gig, he was happy. But then when she got new opportunities to be the leading role at an important play in London, he didn't like it so much. He sent her some flowers with a very suspicious note to her premiere, and the note says, "My ambitious wife, these are bad luck flowers, because if you get reviewed well in this play, you will get all kinds of awards and I will be miserable. Your loving husband." Now, if you read this, it sounds like a joke. It reads like a joke. You don't think anybody's capable of saying these things for real, right? This must just be the way, like banter, right? The way that they joke with one another. But there is kind of a sinister register in this note that I don't think it's just a joke, especially when you see this in the light of the Architectural Digest video that was shot in their brownstone. They were definitely having some weird interactions for sure.
Oh God. What the hell are you doing here? Last time I was single and I was living on the Lower East Side. I have a family now, kids. This is so embarrassing. You look good though.
He says he's ashamed of now having a wife and daughters. And then there is the way that he tries to interrupt her the minute that she wants to speak about her closet. He wants to interrupt her and he just rolls his eyes, sighs, and sits down. Like, people are saying online that this guy hates Lily Allen.
Is that you can make your closet or your wife's closet bigger than the bedroom area. I love like I built it. I know. I've been
It was in
working
fact
so
built by
hard
a
with this.
Brazilian company called Florence, who we are very grateful for. They did a really, really good job.
And it's hard to argue with that, honestly, when you see the whole interaction. It's pretty weird. But the marriage really crumbled when Lily Allen discovered that this guy had been having an affair. When Lily Allen had to move to London for rehearsals for her new play, he told her that as a man, he had needs and he couldn't wait for her. He had to get his needs met elsewhere. So he pressured her into an open relationship. And she was caught off guard and she agreed to it. But she did give him some very hard boundaries. Like, it was supposed to be with strangers. He shouldn't get emotionally attached and he should be discreet about it. Meeting only in hotels and things like that. But when she got back from London, she realized that this guy, there was something weird. There was something off. This guy didn't want to be intimate with her. He was very distant. And she started to suspect that maybe, just maybe, things were going on that she wasn't private to. So what did she do? She pulled the crazy ex-girlfriend card, of course. She created a new profile on Raya dating app. He did find all the girls in the area that had profiles in Raya and then cross-compared it to the people that he was following on Instagram. And that's how she caught him on his affair. Turns out he had been dating a woman behind Lily Allen's back for 3 years. For 3 years. And he had a secret Raya profile with his location set to Atlanta, which is where Stranger Things is being shot. So he had an apartment in Atlanta and a profile on Raya in Atlanta. The affair woman, who had a kid of her own too, was in the wardrobe department of one of the films that David Harbour shot for Netflix. And he would fly her to Atlanta to his other apartment to be with him while he shot Stranger Things. They had been together for 3 years behind Lily Allen's back. And that's when she decided to file for divorce. And then she took revenge. Oh yeah. This revenge was so sweet. She recorded an entire album telling every single thing that happened between them in very transparent lyrics. I mean, they leave nothing to the imagination. And then she published this album 2 weeks before the release of Stranger Things. I mean, revenge was served. So yeah, so if you're wondering which side I'm on, like, it's not like they're my parents fighting or anything, but just based on the fact that this woman took revenge, I am on her side. I don't care that she's a bad person. She also has her own skeletons on her closet. She cheated on her ex-husband, forced Zoe Kravitz into a kiss. I don't care. She took revenge. I like her. So let's read the transparent lyrics about her relationship with this guy. She doesn't even try to hide it behind a metaphor. She's not Taylor Swift, okay? She's basically just like reading her diary aloud in these songs. Here's the most famous one called Pussy Palace, okay? And she says, "Don't come home. Don't want you in my bed. Go to the apartment in the West Village instead." Apparently, they had a second apartment in the West Village. "I'll drop off your clothes, your mail and medication. I'm already on my way, headed to the station. Stuck on the F, there's a problem on the line. I couldn't be more stressed, I'm losing my mind. Up to the first floor, key in the front door. Nothing's ever gonna be the same anymore." And that's when I realized something don't feel right. Uh-oh, what did she find? Oh, she's about to tell you. "I didn't know it was your pussy palace. Pussy palace, pussy palace, pussy palace. I always thought it was a dojo, dojo, dojo." Am I looking at a sex addict? Sex addict, sex addict? Talk about a low blow. Oh no. So it seems like he kept a second apartment on the West Village. And one day when she went to drop some stuff for him, she realized that this apartment was not what she thought it was. She thought he was using this for his hobbies, like taekwondo inside of his apartment. But turns out he was just, he was humping on anything with a pulse. Later on this song, she says, I found a shoebox full of handwritten letters from broken-hearted women wishing you could have been better, sheets pulled off the bed, strewn on all the floor, long black hair probably from the night before. She has short black hair, right? Duane Reade bag with the handles tied, sex toys, butt plugs, lube inside. Hundreds of Trojans. You're so fucking broken. How did I get caught up in your double life? I mean, this is deadly. Like, this is a fatal blow. Like, this guy, like this famous hotshot guy, all pompous and everything, getting his sex toys from an actual pharmacy, like getting them from a drugstore, like from a convenience store. Do you imagine him with his face, like walking in on like CVS, Duane Reade, like, yeah, I'm gonna take some butt plugs and some Trojans, please. I mean, it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. I mean, I don't know if she took some poetic license here, but the images are so striking. And so, okay, so apparently this guy had another apartment. He had a whole ass lover. And, you know, from all the other songs in the album, that I'm not going to go through all of them, but you should, because it's so much fun. So this album is basically a snapshot of the disintegration of Lily Allen's and David Harbour's marriage. And it doesn't really paint him in the best of lights. Now, we don't really have his side of the story, but we have seen pictures of him, like, weeks after the marriage ended, having fun, just being himself, feeling very comfortable just around town in New York City with Ben Stiller at a game, other people. And while Lily Allen has claimed that she was spiraling so bad after the marriage ended that she had to get herself into rehab. Now, I am not saying that Lily Allen is a saint here. She also has her fair share of skeletons in her closet. Like, she divorced her previous husband, the father of her children, because she cheated on him with male escorts while on tour. Insane. And, you know, she had an OnlyFans about her feet. So there's, you know, it's not a one-way street here. But I do feel terrible about her daughters because, you know, they were flown all the way from London. They left behind their family, their friends, everything to get into this life with this man who promised them something completely different from what he delivered. And this is the point when all of the other allegations started to bubble up to the surface, right? The people claiming this guy ghosted them and left them in the middle of Mexico, and the crazy episode of the woman jumping out of his window. So let's talk about those. So this is when David Harbour's past came bubbling up to the surface, and people claim to have been maligned by him, gave their testimonies online. And I'm going to read you a couple. Just keep in mind that this is not proven. This is just people talking on the internet, but take it as you will. So here's the first one. And she says, I wrote a fan message to my TV show crush in 2017, and he got back to me. I didn't believe it was really him. We corresponded for a while, and he eventually revealed that it was really actually him. And I was mortified because I had been very candid and real. He offered to fly me from Canada to an event in Vegas to spend some time with him. I agreed. When I was in the airport, I Googled him to find relevant things to talk about, and I found out a young woman my age had recently jumped out of his apartment window and killed herself. That was the first red flag. Or the second, considering a famous man nearly twice my age was flying me to Vegas. So that was the first red flag, but I ignored it into oblivion. I get there. I think it's going to be pure magic. It's very Vegas. Yuck. He's very pompous and likes to talk about being crazy. I think we're going to have this nice romantic time. He leaves only his polo shirt and socks on the whole time. He put his Vegas finger in my mouth without warning. I am laughing aloud right now at how much pressure I felt to put on the best performance of my life. Later, he talks about his fuck buddies, who are mostly married long-term friends with kids, and how their bodies weren't the same after a second baby, but fine after the first, but not the second. I am a mother, and he assured me my pussy was still fine. Barf. When we were eating breakfast, he took out one of his surprise fake teeth and put it near my melon rinds and asked me if I had ever been to therapy. I literally went to therapy after our fling was over. I am laughing aloud at how hard I tried to pretend like everything was okay just because he's famous. Learning experience. Then another woman came forward and said that a friend of hers who was very young and underprivileged got flown to Mexico by David Harbour a few years prior. And he flew her to a hotel room and he had sex with her. And after he was done, he excused himself to get out of the room. Her friend thought he was going to go to the bar or something and come back, but the guy never came back. In fact, she never heard from him again. He just sent her a text telling her how to check out from the hotel. But other than that, she never heard from him again. He left her to fend for herself in the middle of Mexico. Okay, that's the type of person we're talking about here, if these allegations are true. And let's not forget, of course, the grimmest part of the story. Let's close this with a golden brooch. There was a woman in 2015 who jumped out of his window of his 3-story apartment in Manhattan to her death, okay? The authorities didn't release the name, like the identity of the woman, but they said that David Harbour had met her in a shelter. Okay, he had rescued this woman from a shelter and brought her home. And then she jumped out of the building when he was in Toronto, attending the premiere to his movie Black Mass. Now, when he was contacted so that he could say something about the situation, you know what he said? He said, I was trying to help her out. I am very confused. I don't understand how this happened. It's a terrible tragedy. I am very shaken. But it feels like there's more to the story, because he was a famous actor who goes to a shelter to rescue a woman. It feels like he's constantly looking for underprivileged girls, troubled girls with mental problems, and that's very predatory to me. Like, even Lily Allen, when she met him, she was battling with addiction, with drugs, with alcohol, with all of these things. She had been in rehab. She had to leave her husband because she cheated on him with escorts during her tour. And so there's a pattern where he finds these girls who cannot defend themselves, and then it looks like he doesn't treat them the best. Not very Hopper of him to do all of these things. So anyway, I thought it was a very interesting story. And now I want to talk to you about what I see underneath, okay? Because obviously, there's like so many things going on, so many egos. It's like a battle of the egos. On the one hand, we have Millie Bobby Brown, who has had trouble with co-stars in the past, who has been accused of being extremely selfish and egocentrical by other cast members of Stranger Things. And she is like accusing this man of bullying. And then we have this man who seems like he doesn't care for other people. Like, he sounds like a complete sociopath. And then we have his ex-wife, who is also a gem. I mean, everybody sucks here. Nobody is the asshole because everybody sucks. But you know what? I find it very interesting, like the timing for all of these things. And the fact that Lily Allen would release this album 2 weeks before the release of the last season of Stranger Things, and how I think it was somebody on Lily's camp that fed this to the Daily Mail, probably. I mean, she must have been by his side when all of these things happened during the shooting of Stranger Things, right? So she must have known all about it, like all about what Millie Bobby Brown said about David. And so I think this is very interesting. I don't know what you guys think. I'm pretty sure that this is going to continue to develop, and we're going to continue to see more things coming out as the premiere of this TV show approaches. And yeah, and what a ride. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe to my channel. I am new to YouTube, and seeing the numbers go up is really heartwarming for me. And if you really want to know when I post something new, I don't really talk about famous people much unless something spectacular happens. But if you want to receive, if you like me as a person and you want to know when I post something new, then you can go here and enter your email in my form. I will add you to my emails list and write to you when I publish something new. And it was great seeing you. Till next time.